Ready? Okay. All right, so home stretch. This is the last segment. Okay, so in this segment, we'll talk about the new laws. So of course, there's always new laws that could affect you. So this year, we have Act 122. This is Session Laws, oh, I'm sorry, I have a typo there. Should be Session Laws Hawaii, SLH, not B, 2016. So this is our administration bill. And what we wanted to do was to separate the mortgage loan originator laws from the mortgage servicer laws. So, you know, they were kind of built together. And then we had a separate set of laws for mortgage servicers. So what I really wanted to do for the past few years is to separate them. And that's what we did. We clarified the scope of activities of what MLOs do versus what mortgage servicers do. We try to improve the consistency of the terminology between the two chapters. And then we eliminated the requirement of the mortgage loan servicer loan modification license. I'm not really sure if I got that right. But anyway, whatever that modification license that you needed to have as an MLOC to do loan modifications, we eliminated that. It's now all in the servicer's license. So you only need to have one servicer license to do modifications and, you know, any of the mitigation activities. So hopefully that will make it better for everyone. I have to tell you that there might be a cleanup bill next year, just because we might not have caught everything as we separated the two chapters, and hopefully they won't affect you folks. All right, our second new law is Act 144, Session Laws Hawaii 2016, and this was a HAMB-sponsored bill to clarify the office hours. So as you can see, we had a lot of questions about these office hours, how many hours you had to be open, whether or not just how many hours you have to be open. So what this requires is that MLOCs are required to be open for business during posted business hours, some of which shall be during regular business hours. So as I said, as we went over that, you know, if you open Monday through Friday, from 9 to 12, you know, that's perfectly fine. Consumers are able to find you during that time. If we happen to stop by, hopefully you're there during that time period. All right, so what this doesn't say is that you can have office hours that are appointment only. So that's not allowed. If your website says that you can only come during these posted business hours, but only if you have an appointment, that's going to be a violation of this law. And then I just have to say, even though this isn't, you know, our law is not that specific, but if your posted business hour is only 15 minutes, that's not going to cut it either. I'm just saying. So you can have, you know, we have some mortgage loan originators who have hours because they work at, you know, another job from 5 to 7 in the evening. You know, that's probably okay. We're probably not going to visit you during that time. And when we do an exam, we do have a separate section of the statutes that say during an exam, you must be open during regular business hours, which is 8 to 5, which is when we work. So we're not going to come only during the time when you're open for business, 5 to 7 p.m. You know, we don't pay overtime. You probably won't be able to afford it. You know, you'll just have to, during that time period, which is why we give you the dates, you'll have to be open for us to do the exam. Okay. Only 2 new laws. Do you have questions about that before I move on to our reminders? So, once again, 15 minutes, too short. We're probably going to find a violation. By appointment only, also not what's intended. You have to be open during some portion of the day. Okay, reminders. So, as you probably guessed, these examinations can happen at any time. We will send you a letter because we schedule them all throughout the year. We'll tell you when we're going to be there so that you can be available. And then, just to remind you, we charge an examination fee by statute. This is $60 per hour per examiner. So that will include the time that we do any of our pre-examination work. It will include when we're on site and when we write the report. The examination fees also include travel costs. So if you're on the neighbor island, we try to do more than one exam on that neighbor island so that you folks can split costs. So you would split the cost of the airfare and for the ground transportation, the car. And then the range of the examinations. I think they typically cost somewhere between, I'm just making this up now, between $2,500 to $5,000. A larger company is going to cost a lot more, but typically that's what it will cost. And you folks can kind of add this up. You know, we hope to only spend a total of 40 hours or 60 hours for the examination, the total examination time. But depending on, you know, how long it takes to get information from you, how voluminous the information you send us is. So if you send us your 100-page policy on all of our regulatory laws, it's going to take us a long time to go through it. And you're also going to be told, what? Not tailored to your business. But we will go through it just to make sure that, you know, there isn't something hidden in there. So, you know, just be aware. Investigations, those can occur at any time based on any consumer complaint. Or, you know, we can kind of do it on our own too. If we find, you know, like I said, if we happen to be in the area and, you know, we stop by and you're not there, we'll either stop by again during these business hours or, you know, send you a letter to see what, you know, where you might have been. For examinations or investigations also, we charge $60 per hour per examiner that goes out and does that investigation. All right. And, you know, this is, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but you folks are really the eyes and ears of what's going on in the industry. So we know that some of you are calling our office and complaining anonymously about each other. So if you do that, that's perfectly fine. You know, we do look into that. But when you call back and ask for an update, you're not going to get one because you called anonymously. So just so you know, I know that people have called before, you know, those calls have gotten to me and they want to check up on the status of some complaint that was lodged, and when I see that it was filed anonymously, no information goes out. Sorry. So if you want to know the status, you need to leave your name. Okay. And then what will typically happen on any of our investigations for consumer complaints or, you know, whatever complaints that we have, we get two sides of the story. So in a consumer complaint, we'll send you a copy of the complaint and ask to see what you've done about the complaint. You know, if you've already responded to, you know, the consumer, what you did for the consumer. You know, a lot of times it'll just end right there because you did the right thing. The consumer's just unhappy. You know, we can't help that. But as long as you're not violating any laws, you know, that's going to be the end of it. You will get a letter that says, you know, you didn't do anything wrong. If you did do something wrong, you know, you'll know. We'll let you know about that too. Okay, and just one more thing about investigations. So I know a lot of you run ads in the paper, either in the newspaper or in trade magazines. So, typically that's how we're getting some of the complaints. We get a cutout of, the newspaper ad or the magazine ad, and either, you haven't listed your NMLS number or the company's NMLS number, or, you didn't put something in the ad that's required by law. So you can be sure that we're going to, just send a letter asking you either to make sure that the next time you do this type of advertisement, that you follow all of the laws. There might be a fine attached to that. Typically, we try not to fine or send out administrative fines for our licensees. My whole time here, one of the things that I'm doing is trying to get people to understand what these laws are all about. I understand that this, being in compliance with laws are new to you folks, so, a lot of this is education. But if it's blatant, or if there was consumer harm, we will have no option but to have an administrative fine. Some of these administrative fines are not public, so, we are not going to post it on NMLS. They will be, kind of off the record, informal. But then again, that depends on what the violation is and how many consumers might have been affected. All right, more reminders. Cybersecurity. So if any of you were here last year, I talked about cybersecurity and cyber hygiene, is what we call it. So be sure to practice cyber hygiene. And so in case you don't know what that is, if you're sending out personally identifiable information about your consumers, your customers, you want to be sure you encrypt those in some way, or you somehow mask that so that that's not transferred via the internet. I'm going to say that your customers are going to send you personally identifiable information. When you reply back to them, make sure that you take those out in their email as you reply. Okay, because if it's not caught the first time by the bad guys, it might be caught the second time because now it's coming from a company. Encryption, there's a lot of different encryption techniques that you can use. If you're sending a Word document, you can use a password to lock that document down. Same for an Adobe or a PDF document. So you can use those. You don't have to spend money. And the whole thing is you don't have to spend money to do this cyber hygiene. So if you need additional tips, let us know. RESPA. As you know, RESPA, the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, prohibits kickbacks and unearned fees. So you might wonder why I'm talking about this, because I'm sure you all know about that. But just to remind you that if you are sponsoring a license or a luncheon with and offering continuing education as part of that for realtors, that might be a violation of RESPA, because you're offering to someone in the settlement procedures or process something that they should pay for. Okay? But if you're just sponsoring an educational activity, letting realtors know what a great job you do, how warm and fuzzy you are, how efficiently you can get through the origination process, that's perfectly fine. So that is something that would be allowable in RESPA. Okay, so I don't know how many of you will receive the Real Estate Commission's, I think it's called the Real Estate Commission Bulletin. We do have an article coming up in the next issue talking about some of the examples of this. All right, this is our favorite, the Truth in Lending RESPA Integrated Disclosures, or TRID. So I just have to let you know, the way I remember this is the reason I drink. TRID. Okay. And only a government agency could combine two acronyms and make another acronym. Okay, so the Truth in Lending, RESPA disclosures, and as the CFPB likes to call it, they are always mad at the regulators for calling it the TRID disclosures. They like to call it know before you owe. And so that doesn't roll off my tongue the same way that TRID rolls off my tongue, but anyway, if you ever talk to someone from CFPB, do not say TRID, they're really offended. Please say know before you owe disclosures. Okay, that's just a hint. All right, so you know that you have to provide these 3 days after the application. You know, those rules still apply. And really, we have some questions about, do you have to provide this disclosure? Because what you're doing is just gathering the application and then you're sending it off to your lender. And the lender is going to be providing this know before you owe disclosure. So the answer is yes, you must do it. You must send out that disclosure. You know, especially if you're pulling a credit report, you know, typically you folks are doing that just to see what sort of product your client can fit into. So yes, please send that out. Fill it out as best that you can. But yeah, it is a required document. All right, and then we have our contact information. I'm sure you folks all know. CCA, Hawaii.gov, and our website. And let me see if I can get to our website. Nope. Of course not. Okay, I was going to show you what it looked like. So it looks a little bit different now. Our Twitter feed, if you folks are, if you do that, social media, we are on Twitter. I try to post something every day. When the presentation is up on our website, we will blast everyone, e-blast everyone to let you know that the presentation is on our website. But the first notice will probably go up on our social media. I will tweet that out to let everyone know that the presentation, at least the PowerPoint is up on our website. The video will take a little bit longer to get on there, but we will hope to get the video up on our website also. Our email, you folks all know, it's dfi-nmls@dcca.hawaii.gov. And of course, you know our phone number. If you have questions, you know, please call our mortgage team. They are here today. I won't introduce them, but they are here, sitting in the corner or kind of like spread out. Maybe you want to raise your hands. And then I will call out two people in particular. Dwight Young, our licensing manager, if you can stand. Okay, so you can see what he looks like. And Allison Kiyotoki, our mortgage supervisor. Okay, and Mark Hirai, our examination manager. Is he still here? Oh, okay. Sorry, you can't see him. Not on purpose. Anyway, those folks. If you have questions, you know, feel free to contact one of them. They probably have better answers than if you called me. So I'd call them first. If they don't know the answer, then call me. We also brought part of our field examination team. So just so that if I can't answer a question, they're here to help me out. Okay, last segment of questions. Questions? So I'm standing between us and the door. So, any questions before we adjourn for the day?
On average, how often do you think we're going to be examined?
Okay, so the question is, on average, how often do we examine our mortgage loan originator companies? So generally, we will go out somewhere between 3 and 5 years. We only have our dedicated team of examiners are pretty small right now. We are adding additional people. We did get additional people authorized by the legislature to expand our examination process. So typically right now, until we fully staff up, it'll be probably somewhere between 3 and 5 years. If there is a problem, what we call a problem company, we will go out more often, and we have gone out more often to some of our companies that have issues. Any other questions? Okay, if not, thank you for coming to our annual training session. If you have questions, be sure to contact us. Thank you.